Hello, how's everybody doing? This is a ex-Jehovah Witness YouTube. I haven't did one in so long, and I tried a different angle. See, like I got it's a lot of information today. I'm doing this YouTube on everything that I have um, not thought about, put together from the last YouTube ex ex Jehovah Witness YouTube that I did. This consists of all of that. Like I said, I never just like go out and there's been times when I first started that I just did videos, but not very few to where I just do videos for um, because you have to put out videos in YouTube, but I'm glad that I can do other things. So that means that my content, as far as ex Jehovah Witness, is pretty much something that um, is an actual YouTube, not for the reasons of because I have to put out videos. Okay, so that makes it to me more real. I'm not. I mean, other people, you still have to do other videos, yes, and that's very important, and that's just as good as anybody else's. I'm just telling you my technique, okay? Um, I changed the angle also, just a little bit, and of course, I always like to. I mean, I sleep on the floor all the time, and I think it's very comfortable. So I'm just like sitting down. That's where I'm comfortable, like on the floor where I usually sleep. And it makes it to me very comfortable because that's what I usually do. That's what I am, you know what I mean? Um, and I tried a different angle. Uh, it's just a little I mean, I usually have it like this, okay? I just want to try this. It's usually like this, but now I put it just a little with a little slant, and I think that makes it a little bit more. I don't know. I just like it a little bit nice. I feel more comfortable like that. So anyway, this YouTube is gonna be an ex Jehovah Witness YouTube, and it gets more like I said because we it's not something that we've always it's something as far as my YouTubes. I like to have them to where they develop into something, and as you can see, they as a time went on, they were a little bit more complex, which is good because when I say complex, I mean it depends on the knowledge of the previous YouTubes that I've done. And I think it's good because it doesn't have a shelf life. And I always want to do videos that don't have shelf life. When I say it doesn't have a shelf life, I mean you can place it somewhere in time. Okay? So that means like the videos that we made, and I always put my audience in my how can I say, in my thought. I just got to make up a definition in my way of doing videos because I know I'm just not doing videos for myself. Okay, so I include my audience in my participation in my activity of of creating a YouTube because I'm creating it for an audience that I am familiar with. Okay. Um, this one is, like I said, it's definitely more complex. Not complex and not being understood. It just depends on a lot of things that we've already covered. Okay. It's going to be on three subjects. Another thing I learned in doing these YouTubes, especially um, the YouTube for ex Jehovah Witness, is that when I first started, I had to write it on paper on things, like things I want to talk about because I don't want to go off on a tangent. And I've gone off on tangents, and I think it's very good. It's just good, you know. Um, Most of the time, not all of the time. When it confuses yourself, it's not good. But when you go off on a tangent because you're going like in a tunnel, it's like going in a tunnel and like in a cave, and you're walking in a cave and you see this light, and you see something that you want to, that's very interesting. Then you go in, you go, I don't know if I'm going to go all the way out of here. I don't know if I'm going to stay here, but I want to see what's here. I guess you can say it's also like when you go on vacation and you're visiting, you most likely go downtown. That's the nicest thing when you go on vacation. You want to go to a downtown area, meaning a very something that's tracked by many people or whatever, that area. And you look and you go, oh, this looks interesting, and you go in here. And you know that you want to continue your regular path, but maybe this area is so interesting, you might not go back. So that's what I feel as far as going on a tangent, or, going in areas when you're talking and all of a sudden, I usually find my way back, and I think it's important most of the time to find your way back. But sometimes you don't want to go back, and you're in such an exciting area to where you stay there because you're learning more. So you don't go back to the main points. And that's what I'm talking about as far as sometimes the conversation. But most of the time, it's best, as you see in my videos, is I give like 3 points and we stick on those points. But the major thing I want to talk about as far as the notes are concerned is that things nowadays are getting in such an area to where everything you can't write it down, or it's not on paper. It's not explained on paper. It's just like when the iPhones came out, okay? When the iPhone, it was the iPhone, and now, smartphone, okay? There's no directions. I mean, like in the 60s, 70s, there were directions and you could follow them. And even car manuals, you could pretty much follow a car manual, any kind of manual from the 60s, 70s, around 80s, early 80s. But then in the 90s or in the millennial time, it's impossible to have like a manual or read about how to use an iPhone or whatever, because then you found out that it depends on something internal. And that's a good point as far as my videos are concerned too, is that you can't depend on written information all the time. You have to dive in and do the work and find it out from yourself. And that's something about my YouTube now too, which is in 3 points. So the point I want to make is that everything can't be written down, especially nowadays, because it's so intense, and a lot of it is dependent upon your personal knowledge. And you either have it or you don't, or you have to go back and find out how to get it. It's just like older people. There's a lot of older people who don't want to deal with the new technology. But I'm glad in my life I always had to. I mean, even when I was when I was working manually, like I always have worked manual. There was times when I just took classes because I needed to understand a lot of things. I took a lot of computer classes, I had to learn myself, like, I remember Word Perfect. I don't know if people understand that. Word Perfect versus Word. I remember that was a big deal. Word Perfect versus Word. And after you learn Word Perfect, you were so stuck into that mold that when they brought out Word, and it was beautiful and it was wonderful and it was great. You didn't even want to touch it. But like I said, I had to teach myself that, hey, this is something, I don't want to say new, but this is something that's here now, fashion, or whatever, the mode. This is what everybody's doing now. And it has benefits. Evidently people wouldn't be using it. So I got into Word and I did notice that a lot of things in Word actually depends on, although there was a lot of instructions and that in itself was kind of showing me that a lot of information is instilled in ourselves, because a lot of things were like, okay, well, we do this normally, to where is Word perfect was like things you had to learn. You had to learn it. And I mean, is that say Word perfect? Yeah, Word perfect, like they call DOS or whatever. Some people understand what I'm talking about. And then you have the Word, which it's like everything is more of things that we do naturally. And when you catch on to that, to where, oh, I want to indent, like, oh, but I don't have to get a code for indenting, because now it's to where it's naturally done in Word, like Windows. So anyway, that's the point that I'm trying to make there, is that a lot of things that you can't just write down things now, okay? It's just, even as far as YouTubes, I notice, because I always watch YouTubes. I mean, I just don't make YouTube because we all help each other. And it's important for you to look at other people's YouTubes, to respond to other people's YouTubes, to be affected by other people's YouTubes. So it makes you a better YouTuber, or it makes you a better speaker, I think, as far as YouTubes are concerned. And I still subscribe. I mean, there's people who still catch my eye and say, wow, this person is really teaching me something. So I have a lot of subscriptions to a lot of, just a lot. And when I make a subscription, when I subscribe to people, I really, really am influenced by this person. So anyway, that's my introduction. I'm glad I did it, because I'm going to actually use some of the points that I actually talked about right now. This one is going to be, like I said, I'm not going to think about the time. Usually I think about the time, but like I said, it's very complex, so I don't really want to worry about the time on this one. And as far as my YouTubes are concerned, it's important for me to, I think, because I could do this in like 3 different YouTubes, but I think it's best for me to just do it all in one YouTube, because all in one video, because the points go together so well. Okay. Also, I have to do YouTubes. I mean, like, especially the ex-Jehovah Witness. There was one friend, one time I did a YouTube with Jehovah Witness, and I was talking to her. There's actually one friend that I have that I've actually talked to, and we really clicked, and it's very important. And I was happy that she said, I thought that you were going to forget about, the ex-Jehovah Witnesses because you were doing other things. No, I could never do that. I'm always thinking about it. And like, up until now, I was adding points. I would add points, but I just can't do YouTube because it's very important, and it marks a thing in my station. Also, the different ex-Jehovah Witness YouTubes that I have, meaning that it's landmark, it's important, and it's a development that I have. And so now, what I'm going to, okay, did I finish about her? Yes. So it is true that I know that my basis for my station actually started with ex-Jehovah Witness. I don't know if I did ex-Jehovah Witness first. I know I was watching YouTubes and everything. The ex-Jehovah Witness is the one that got me interested in being a YouTube and actually expressing myself as YouTube. But my station started out with ex-Jehovah Witness music, and then later on, as I developed my station, it got into art and and I can't say dance because I did the dance without music. So I guess I could not dance. I guess I could say it was like something physical, um, like uh, exercise. I guess you can say exercise or self development, physical self development, or something like that. So I started with ex Jehovah Witness because I wanted an avenue because I got a lot of Jehovah Witness friends. I had a lot of Jehovah Witness friends. I had a lot of Jehovah Witness family, and I wanted them to see my story as an ex Jehovah Witness, and I know that they could see it through a YouTube personally, and they could hide and see it. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there's people in my family it's impossible because I was very in my family. I was very I can say I don't want to say popular, but I have to say popular. There's certain words I have to use. Okay. I mean, because it's like saying popular is like you understand exactly what I'm saying. Even though I wouldn't use that word, I want to use another word, but it's just like expresses something. Um, so I knew that I would be, although I don't like to use the word popular, but that does the job in my family. Okay. And, um, then I did the music because it was something that I started like playing guitar and singing. It was a release. It was something that I always cared about. I was I was when I first started doing the music and the guitar, I was very apprehensive. I was afraid, and I needed to show myself that I could do it. You know, I mean, um, it's very very hard, but the only reason why I started doing the music because I knew it would develop into something. And my scariest part was that not not people who saw my music and who saw my guitar that they wouldn't understand the direction that I was going into and why I was doing it. Like, oh, this is the final product. No, it's not the final product. It's not. It's not ready yet. That's what I wanted them to see. That it's something that you do by yourself until you come up with this um, product. And I'm glad I did it now because of AI, okay? And because they could do some really, really nice things in AI itself, you know? And it shows the difference between AI and an actual human being. Okay, so that's why I did the music. And then I had Dance Without Music. Dance Without Music. That's another thing that I do on my station. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted something else to express in my YouTubes, and I know I needed something else because, like I said, when I do YouTubes, it's you can't like I couldn't. I give information from my heart, and I don't. How can I say? I don't like to make a video and then just make another one for no reason. So I needed other subject matter. And not just that, there was something that I've always did in my life that I couldn't document. It was like things that I studied, exercises that I did, things that I learned, and it didn't place anywhere. So I did the Dance Without Music, and now it's Dance Without Music / American Yoga. I did that because it was something that I was always working on, but I didn't have a place to express it or to let people understand how it could help them. And it was very important because I knew what I was doing when I did the Dance Without Music, and I know it would help people. And I thought I would just be able to express it to them and have them understand it. But the funny thing about Dance Without Music and American Yoga / American Yoga is that I had to actually do it. I just couldn't just like tell people that this is what I've learned and that's what I've learned. So I'm telling you all of this because one of my bases for my YouTubes is the ex-Jehovah Witness. And that's my kind of intro into other people who haven't seen my ex-Jehovah Witness videos at all. So now the 3 points that I want to get into, and this is, like I said, all the information that came since the last YouTube, okay? And it's 3 points. The first one is, I had them all, is how being a Jehovah Witness, you have no hope, okay? You just can't make up hope. And what I want to talk about, hope is something that, and if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you pretty much understand what hope is more than most people. I say if you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness, but it's just a thing that people do when they go through something. If I was another religion coming out of, I would see everything in that light. So sometimes I say if you're ex-Jehovah's Witness, but I'm sure other people can see it also. Okay. So there's no hope as far as being a Jehovah's Witness. You have no way to get to hope. And then the second point I want to bring out is you can't be saved. Okay? I mean, you can't be saved. There's no way of being saved in the Jehovah's Witness organization. And the third one is how being an ex-Jehovah's Witness, how there's a benefit as far as the points that I just made. What's the benefit? How does the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses benefit according to the things that I've already expressed as far as having hope and being saved is concerned? So now the first point is what I want to bring out is the hope. And I like to draw it from things that happened to me, because what I found in my life, if something happens to me, I find that it's not just me. It also happened to other people, okay? And a lot of people think that their problems are very big and it's major and there's no other problem like yours. And it's true as far as God's standpoint, because I think he sees that. He sees that, oh wow, I mean, this problem is the biggest problem in the world, okay? But he can handle it, okay? But I've also learned other people can relate to your problem that you have. Okay. Um, I say this because there's been times, it's probably most likely at work a lot of times, and or some other kind of situation like work, and I this a person or something happened to me, and I think it's just me, and then I find out, or sometimes I even think it happened because I'm black or something like that, or they're just doing it to me. Okay. And then I find that that's not the case because you ask somebody else and they go, it happened to me too. I mean, this is happening to me too with this person. This has happened to me too with this circumstance. And I find out that it's not something that, although I'm affected individually and differently because it's just me, other people are familiar with this problem that you have. Okay, so why did I say that? Going back, so now, like I said, I'm in the point of no hope. Okay, and then I'm gonna find out why I went to where I went. Okay. Um, what happened? Okay, I'm asking. Oh, that's why I use. Now I understand, because I was telling you that's why I using my my experience, and I was explaining. No, I'm clearing that up. I'm explaining why I use personal experience, but I'm not saying but I know my personal experience it just doesn't relate to myself. So that's why I'm using examples that happened to me as far as hope is concerned. And one such example is the fact that, and there's others like this. I remember I was working on, and pretty much, I do other things in the video in my YouTube's channel, but they all connect to me, and it would have to connect to me. If I didn't see it connect to me, it just has to, you know. Other people may just watch my music. Certain people may just do my videos, but to me, it has to link together. So I'm explaining that to tell you that one of my experiences as far as hope is concerned happened to me while I was working on another project. It was like a music project, but I don't want to get into it. And also, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, but when you get older, I don't think it has to, you get to think about things more. I'm very old, okay? And a lot of things in your life, because you've actually had a life. It's not like when you're young and you can't draw off of a lot of experiences, okay? I mean, if I was 20, I could only draw off of experience my first 20 years, you know? If I'm 30, I could only draw off of my material or the things that happened to me in my first 30 years. But as you get older, then you can see logically because you have a lot of comparisons. And I was doing something in music and I came across, I mean, although it wasn't like I just came across something, but it was a big chapter in my life and something that happened to me. And it had, it was with this friend that I had. It was a friend, the friend which was obtained by something that I was going through and that friend was going through and a lot of people were going through. And it's in my YouTube, but it was a time to where I was working in Miami, and people will all watch all the videos that they'll understand. I was working in Miami in this Hurricane Andrew. and I needed to get out of the situation because I was working for a bad company. And I became friends with this person in the same situation. Okay. But anyway, what happened was that that person became a very big part of my life. It's just like everybody else. I'm sure you have these people in your life that it was colossal what you went through. But anyway, we ended up splitting up as friends. A lot of things I didn't understand, and that's the thing about life is a lot of choices that you make, you don't know what you're making. You don't know if this is a good choice. A lot of times I didn't even know what I was, the beauty of what I was going through. Like, for instance, the relationship that I had with this friend, and I said it wasn't just this friend, but it was a few friends. And it ended up to where out of these friends, like four friends, one of them we continually grew our relationship. And being young, and I was still young, even though I was still in my 30s, I still didn't have enough information to draw off of what was happening, you know? And I didn't realize, and it's not my fault, it's not their fault, but and many times the person, like I'm talking about a person who was younger than I was, and and the person actually, okay, I was in my 30s, and the person that I was ended up, because it was like four of us, and one of them we continued to be friends. The person was actually younger than me, and in a lot of aspects, some people younger. Now I'm giving, I'm saying that age doesn't always mean anything, because the person that I was in a relationship with, and I'm not talking about relationship. I'm talking about like a friend relationship. Um, had more is actually more mature in a lot of ways than I was, you know. And like I said, probably most likely it's because he had more experience in certain things than I had experience in certain things. So you could be old and you could be older than a person, but yet somebody younger could be more experienced at something that you're not, that you haven't experienced. Okay. So I wasn't able to see that either. And this person was very mature and could teach me a lot of things that I didn't know because I wasn't exposed to a lot of things that this person was exposed to. And I want to use color too because it's such a big deal. So when I also give YouTubes and I give experiences, I have to use color because it makes people understand a lot of things about color. And when I say color, I mean racial things and stuff like that. This person was white, okay? And and if you would see from my YouTube, it's the only reason why a lot of things that I was open to as far as not seeing color and trusting in people and stuff like that, with not really having any boundaries, is just the way I was brought up. And you'll see that in my YouTubes, how my parents and everything brought me up, especially me. I mean, even though there was other people in my family, it just, like I said, you can have brothers and sisters, excuse me, but one thing about parents, and I thought it was just my parents, but it's most parents who really love their children, is they bring up their children separately. Like, I don't care how many, if you were brought up in a strong family, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about parents that actually loved you. I mean, they didn't have to be smart or anything, or they didn't have to have degrees, but if they really cared about you, they would most likely give you, how can I say? I want to say this. This is very important. Sometimes you have to pick the right words. Um, Individually, how can I say individually? I want to say that the parents, and I want to get back, but I hope I can tie this into what I'm talking about. But when the parents bring you up, they bring you up individually, I guess I can say, okay? They don't they don't like treat all their children the same way. I mean, you're brought up because they know how you are as an individual. So you're brought up differently from other people than your brothers and sisters. And sometimes people may take it cruel, or they may take it the wrong way. Well, why didn't you do this to me when you did that to them? Okay, like they might buy your brother a car, but they won't buy you a car, and you wonder, well, why did you buy them a car and you didn't buy me a car? It's because they bring you up with, there's a word for it, and it's a loving thing, because that means that they know exactly how you are, and they're going to help you in your way. And then they're not going to treat your brother this way, and they're not going to treat your sister this way. You're all going to be treated totally differently, okay? If you understand. Now, the point I want to make is that's why I want to express, because I'm very familiar with, I mean, I got friends in all different kinds, and I know about the black and the African American and all this other stuff. So I wanted to express that, because there are prejudiced black people too. There's prejudiced white people, there's prejudiced black people, and I could see all those things because of the way I was brought up. And I was brought up not to see at all any kind of boundaries, and that's one thing I'm happy for. But my parents did that basically because I was the type of person that I was, is what I'm trying to say. I have 7 brothers. We're all 7 as far as siblings are concerned, and we all were brought up differently. Okay, I can see that now, but that's the love of the parents, because they know exactly who you are and what you do. And now I even realize that. I never realized that the parents knew exactly what you're doing, and a lot of times they don't tell you. You know what I mean? Like, you think you're hiding? Okay, well, we'll let you think that you're hiding. Okay, so anyway, so that's why I wanted to express that my friend that I'm talking about was just like any other friend. But I had to explain that because some people, I know that there's black people watching me, there's white people watching me, there's all people from everywhere, so they can get a context of what I'm talking about. So that's why I express certain things in racial terms also. So anyway, this friend was white, and this person loved me, okay? And they didn't see color, and I didn't see color. So now you can understand. So we were very, very close, but this person had more experience than I did as in certain matters, especially as far as, like economics. Like, they were exposed to more things. Like, they were just exposed to more things. Like, I was the type of person who would, one thing about it is I was the type of person who could save. I could, get on my feet, because I helped these 3. I mean, they were like, we were all trying to get out of this camp, and you'll know the story, but I'm not going to get into it. And I got everybody out to where they were free. And if you know the stories, then you know. So anyway, so when I'm saying when we ended up together, we helped each other, okay? But the person was more, I had things that I had to do. That's one thing that I didn't understand back then, and he didn't understand back then. Maybe he did, but I had things that I had to do. And when I was younger, even in my 30s, I can say I had things that I had to do in my life. I knew I had to go back to school. I knew I had to learn things. And I knew I had to develop my talents. Those are things that I had to do. It had nothing to do with what I like and what person I wanted to like, and who I wanted to do this with, and who I wanted to do that with. It was just number one. It's like working. It's like no matter what, you can have all the love in the world, but it's you really. I think work is number one. I mean, you have to make a living for yourself. That's like number one. Okay, to take care of yourself. You know. So anyway, as far as that is concerned, what I'm saying is that that was the breaking point, and we were friends. I'm talking about friendship, very like family friendship, you know? And that was the thing that broke us up. When I say broke us up, I mean separated us, okay? I knew it had to be separated because there was things that I had to do, okay? And the problem was, it's also society, okay? Because of the way society works. I'm not going to get into that. But I knew that I had to do certain things, okay? The other person, my friend, was more, like I said, they knew more about how to go about things. They were exposed to it, you know? Like how to obtain this, how to obtain that, how to obtain this. That was their experience, you know, and that was their knowledge. And that was, I guess, just say his knowledge, okay, as far as a friend that I'm talking about specifically. And, but there was things that I didn't understand about, I didn't understand that right now I understood that was the talent of that person. But anyway, why I'm saying this is that to show you how important this person was in my life. I was important for that person, and he was important for me as far as the friends are concerned. But we had to split. That's just the way life is. I mean, I'm glad that we split in the way that we split, because even if we had stayed together friends, a lot of times we may have broken up by our own ignorance, is what I'm trying to say. And as far into where we would have again gotten to a point to where, you know, like not like each other. You know what I mean? Like having a bad feeling about the relationship that we had that started really something beautiful. It's just like in normal relationships. I mean, relationship to where you were married, you get married to somebody, woman, man, boy, girl, whatever you want to talk about. And you have such a beautiful beginning, and then all of a sudden you create these demons to where your relationship, you can't even think about how beautiful it started out. So anyway, as far as this relationship is concerned, it held the test of time, because now, like I said, I was going through this thing and remembrance of this time that I went through, and this person was there, and it was preserved. So I'm glad the choices that we did make, it was good, because it's like a beautiful diamond now when I think of this person or this thing that happened to me in my life. And I'm saying this because, and it was a big introduction with this, but sometimes we have to see how important things are. When you talk about something that's so important, you just can't brush it off. You know, it's like somebody asks you a question and you answer the question, but sometimes you have to say, well, I have to really think about that. I have to think about that question for a month before I answer it. I have to think about that question for a week before I answer it, okay? So that's why I had to tell you exactly what happened, and it went through a lot of different channels in order for me to explain that to you, but I wanted to show you the importance of one thing in my life. Not just a situation, but a person in my life. And it became a big deal, especially now in my life, because I can see the things I didn't know. I could see the things that was happening in society. I could see all the things that broke us up as friends. Not just that. I told you, start out with 4 or 5 different friends, and it really meant something to me. And you can't take it lightly. You just can't take things that happen to you lightly. And a lot of people have that attitude. Because when I used to listen to my comics, a lot of people, oh, the only thing I do is I just forget about this and go and forget about that, and then I just keep living my life. But it doesn't work like that, because it's a part of you. And some things you have to really understand what happened then so that you could better yourself for now. So I was getting really, really into this thing and how this person meant so much to me back then, and the things that happen in society that relinquished the relationship between our friendship, not just that one person, but like I'm saying, what happened, you know what I mean? And it was a very important part in my life. So I'm expressing to you how nobody could help me, and I'm talking about hope now. This is all talking about the first point, which is hope. And I couldn't get to, it was just meaning so much, but I was like crying and I was feeling these really, really deep feelings. And of course, God is there. But I'm glad I have God in my life. But he's, and I was like, I was still sad. Like, why did this happen to me? Why couldn't things work out? But I knew that they couldn't work out. And it was like, no way that this is going to work out. You know what I mean? But it was there. And I missed this person. And how could this happen in life? I mean, like, the beautiful thing that you have, how could it just like crumble, But the major thing was I really had this beautiful person in my life, and I couldn't believe it. And you don't really know about how beautiful a relationship or a person is in your life until you don't have any connection with anybody on the level that you do when you're younger, okay? And that's a big deal. Because like when you're younger, you have, it's like it's a treasure, you know what I mean? A treasure, an open treasure that you don't even know that here's a diamond, here's a ruby, here's this. I mean, that you don't really know that you're using, And but when you get older, you understand it, you know what I mean? Because that treasure is depleted, But that's another story. It sounds like gross and gruesome, but it's not as gruesome as it is because you have other things. But I just wanted to bring about that point about how important it is, okay? Because you did something with that treasure, and that treasure's still there. But it's in a memory now, an important memory. So anyway, I was going through this thing, and I was like, oh, and I was like crying. I was like, oh, like, how could this happen? How could this happen? I mean, like, no matter what, but it was a good experience in the fact that I had the memory of this person. But I'm going to tell you about hope now. It's like that thing would never happen to me as a Jehovah Witness. Why? Excuse me. First of all, because I could never activate the thoughts that I had that I'm talking to you right now. Like, for instance, the way I explained to you about society, first of all, wouldn't exist. Why doesn't society exist as a Jehovah Witness? Because it's just a Jehovah Witness society. They don't believe in getting relationships and understanding from different aspects and different points of views. Only the Jehovah Witness count. So that would be gone right there. To be totally sad about some experience not not continuing as far as one person is concerned, it wouldn't occur because it just doesn't occur for the reasons that I have already expressed in my other YouTubes. So that hope is gone. How could I get out of that situation? As far as my feeling, my deep feeling for a person in a time that I felt so close to, you know, and there would be no hope. And that one thing could really make you sick. I could have really been sick. But I'm an ex-Jehovah Witness, and I've developed, not just because I'm an ex-Jehovah Witness, because I've learned all these things that I've learned, that I've told you about on these YouTubes that I made, and on the other ex-Jehovah Witness YouTubes, and not just ex-Jehovah Witnesses, but other religions that they learned from, that I've learned from. So it could have really been a big deal. And another thing too is like when you get really, really older, these things affect you physically. You find out that the things that affect you emotionally, or not just older, but a lot, you just know it when you get older. But when you're younger, a lot of things that affect you emotionally affects your physical structure, also. Okay. I want to put this in. It's just plugging one of my other things that I do on my channel as far as American yoga. Is like, I can also say like people like gravity, okay? On one of my YouTubes, and when it was Dance Without Music, there was a time when I had to put a warning on one of my Dance Without Music YouTubes. And because I was doing what I told you, what I was training you about this Dance Without Music, now it's American yoga. And I couldn't go any further because I had a mental influence on gravity, and I was totally against, and I had to get rid of the gravity, the structure that was placed in my mind, where people would always say, it's gravity, it's gravity, it's gravity, it's up to you, gravity's gonna win, and all this other stuff. And I had to relinquish that mentally in order to physically complete or continually do my Dance Without Music / American yoga. So the mental things that you think of really affect you physically. And I just plugged one of my other things in my channel. Thank you very much. So anyway, so this thing really could have hindered me, okay? Now I'm going to tell you about the hope that I could never get as far as I was an ex-Jehovah Witness, if I was a Jehovah Witness. I had a dream, okay, and dreams are very important. There's all different kinds of dreams, okay? It's just, I've always knew that dreams were important. And if you don't, that's another danger, because if you don't understand about dreams, you'll have a problem with reality. Dreams are very important because you sleep and you're going somewhere, but you're doing something. Just like when you face the world, you know, when you face the world every day and you go to work and everything, that's important. Well, the backdrop is you have to dream. I mean, you have to sleep. You have to relax. And if you don't trust in your dreams and if you don't get to know your dreams, and I'm not talking about learning them or learning what dreams are. I'm just saying just be an active participant in your dreams. What I'm saying is just like, no, don't take them lightly. You know what I mean? Even dreams you don't remember, just enjoy your time when you're sleeping or whatever, random access memory or whatever they call that thing. But just don't say it's nothing, Okay, don't just put it off because I never did that. So anyway, now to get back to my point, and I don't do anything. I know some people who, I don't say tamper with your dreams. Whatever you do, don't tamper with your dreams. Just be normal. I mean, as much as normal as possible. When I say normal, I mean live your life and enjoy everything. Balance is what I'm trying to say. So I don't do anything. There was one time, and I put it in my YouTubes, where I wanted to tamper with my dreams, but I don't really do that. I don't tamper with anything. And but I'm just saying, I remember there's certain, I just keep it as a part of my life. Okay, you have your mornings, you wake up in the morning, you have your nights, you go to sleep, you wake up, and I've always appreciated like my dreams, that's all. So then, because I appreciated them, I noticed that certain ones were different and certain ones were not. But anyway, that goes to intelligence as far as I was concerned. So anyway, when I went to that thing with my friend, and I'm talking about this hope, and because I was really distraught, and that's another reason why I'm glad I believe in God, because it was like I had somebody to talk to. You know what I mean? I had something. I can't imagine not having that. You know, something, or being able to speak or pray about certain things. It was just like, you know what I mean? So anyway, and I didn't think that praying about it could do anything to me or help me at all. But anyway, now I'm getting to the dream. So I had this dream, and I actually remember. Usually if you remember a dream, it depends on the measure of remembrance and the effect that it has on you. So anyway, in the dream, it was just like a regular dream. And I saw this car. Now I'm telling you the weird part about the dream. I mean, I saw this car, and they were driving. It was a friend. It's funny how you know the whole situation in a dream. You know the streets and everything. And I saw this person drive the wrong way. But this was my friend. I just knew that this was a friend of mine or whatever. And I couldn't make any connections in the dream, even after the dream. I had to wait for like a few days until I actually thought about what was happening. And then they pulled over into this like parking lot or whatever. And the car went away or whatever. The person ended up like, it seemed like it was cold or something. I don't know. And they were like laying on the ground, okay? But I knew the person. And then the person like sat up like I'm sitting up like right now, you know what I mean? And I saw the person, and I kissed the person, and I said, I love you. And I kissed the person. I never did that in my dream. It was like, and the person just stood there. And then I kissed the person again. I said, I love you. I love you. And I kissed the person. And then after that, I was looking at something. It's just my personality. After a while, when you get to not understand your dreams, but when you give your dreams importance, like just enjoy that they're there, you know, not analyze. I don't analyze any dreams. That takes time. Just enjoy it. Just make it a part of your life. But I noticed, like, in my personality, I would always, like, if I'm with a friend or whatever, and we're talking about the most important thing, I could notice something that I see. So I noticed something that I saw. It was like a little chair or something, you know, in the background, but it was cute, you know. And I go, look at that little chair, it's something else. And then the person goes, all this time, all this time, it took all this time. And I turned back, and I realized that the person loved me like I loved them. And the person kissed me. I knew that the person, when I kissed the person, I said, I love you. I love you. I knew that I was accepted because, somebody lets you kiss them, you know what I mean? But then the person responded, and it was like all of this time, and it seems like all this time, and now you're going to talk about chair or something like that. It just seems like that. But then the reciprocation came when I mean like I understood that the person loved me, and they understood. They let me know that they loved me as much as I did love them. So it was reciprocated. I think that's the right word. So I woke up from of course, just regularly, but you don't know you remember a dream until, like you keep thinking about it. So I'm saying, forget about analyzing your dreams. I would never analyze my dreams. Everything has to be like natural. Okay. So anyway, I just remembered that dream, and it was like so great. And it was so great. And like during the next day, it was like, wow. And then it took me like 2 days to realize, to make the point of view. But like I'm saying, something that happens, like as far as God helping you in that way, you will never, ever be able to link. That's one of the signs that it's for your help, is that you cannot link it physically to what you were talking to him about. Like, for instance, like I said, when I was talking about that sadness and that hope that I needed, when I was going through the experience of the memory, and it was like there's no way in the world when I had the dream that I could link it. That's one of the signs that that is something to help you, because you're not going to link it. You know what I mean? It's just like, say your father or your mother passed away and you always think about them and you never get any messages or anything. I guess I have to give you another experience. It was like, I have to give you experience. I remember my mother, and I always wonder who she loved, because I know she didn't love anybody later on, because she had so much always helping her children. And I always wondered who she loved, and I kept thinking about that. That's another thing too. Like when you're always thinking about something, and you really, really need an answer to it. You know what I mean? And I was like, how in the world can this happen? Who in the world did you love? And then I found out it was, and I said this in my YouTube, and I know it's very simple and stupid, but she was in love with Johnny Mathis. Because I just know by this connection, the way that things go. And that's what I mean. I could never say it like 100%. That's when I know that it's coming from her. You know what I mean? And like with that dream, I knew that it was the person that I was talking about earlier to you. It wasn't it wasn't like, okay, this is the person in the dream. It's not like it was him, but it was like telling me something in a different fashion that it connected me and helped me with that situation. In my heart, I feel that, yes, that was a connection to my friend that I was talking about. Like, I'm sure he thinks about me just as much as I think about him all the time. So that dream, the way it was, I'm not saying it was exactly him. I don't know how it was, because some things we can't question because we're not there. We're not in that realm. But it sufficed. It helped me to realize that that connection was there. You know what I mean? It showed me that that person probably thinks the same way about me as I think about him. I can't call him on the phone. I don't know where he's at. He doesn't know where I'm at, but we still have that tie in our dreams or in our memory. So that's why memory is very important, because the memories you have is the other person could be thinking about you also. So that's as far as a Jehovah Witness and the complexity of this YouTube. That could never happen as a Jehovah Witness. I would never have that beautiful hope that, because that's not thought of. As a Jehovah Witness, it just goes over your head. And one reason how you respond to it would be like this. It would never happen. It would never happen. Your mind is more like, I can show you a picture of how your mind would be like this, like the Stepford Wives, like a robot. It would never come through my mind. What I've just told you, that story would not happen, could not happen. Those deep feelings that I had would be gone. It would not even exist. Okay, why? Because it's not possible under their governorship, that the governing body can't supply. Which gets into my next thing. Now, we did hope. My next point is it's 1 hour. My next point is. This is a really long time. Maybe I might make it into the second one. I don't know. My second point is, I guess I really have to get into it. I'm trying to decide. But anyway, I guess I have to. But the next point was being saved. You could never be saved. This is the next point, and it's an hour. I'm trying to think if I should do the saved for the next one. Okay, so anyway, I thought that I would do like it all in one. But I knew it was going to take a long time. I just didn't know how long it was going to take. But I didn't know the first one was going to take an hour to get to this first point. So hope, I'm going to finish hope right here. Because I usually take a walk. I mean, on my day off, I have to take a walk. I have to physically do something every day, especially when you get old. I mean, because I keep up my exercise, and I actually learn all over again how to walk, because you're walking, everything changes. So everything changes. So I have to pretty much exercise every day, do something physically. Okay. And so anyway, I'm going to go for my walk. And so this one is going to be actually on hope, although we had the hope, being saved, and how those 2 points tie into how the benefits of being an ex-Jehovah Witness. Okay, so this is the first time I'm actually going to put down part 1. How can I say? Part 1, part 2, and part 3. I hate doing that, but okay. I can actually do it because I don't do ex-Jehovah Witnesses tapes all the time. So it's enough distance from the last one to show you that there's a part 1, part 2, and part 3. So now I'm going to cut this one. This one is going to be the first subject, which is hope. And I showed you, and I know it's so complex, but to show you how hope in being a hope that we need. Like, for instance, I was in a situation that I needed hope, and it could have really been because everything starts out mental and emotional, okay? And how something that I caught myself in, to where a situation to where it was a part of my life, I needed hope to understand that something in my life was important, and it is important today, and there is a connection. And now I can go on and continually see different points in my life that happened to me, and I can also know that I'm making up these things, and that I'm making other points nowadays, and I can have relationships with other people, and it really matter, and I make better decisions. And that's, to me, is hope. A hope that also is used with the things that I've learned in my life, okay? Because one thing, everything is not automatic. If you need hope, a lot of hope depends upon your understanding of things, okay? And like to have a hope that only consists of a new system is really, really sad. And it's really, really dangerous. And like I said, I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and my only hope was being the new system, okay, which I really never really took to heart. It was impossible for me to. So that's it. So this is going to be the hope one. The next one is going to be being saved, okay? So this is the end of part 1. As far as I'm going to put down part 1 of, because they all connect together now, because it's complexity as I go on with these ex-Jehovah's Witness tapes. So the name of it is going to be Hope, Being Saved. Okay, how you have a hope now as an ex-Jehovah's Witness. And you don't have hope as a Jehovah's Witness. The second one is you can actually be saved, being saved actually, and how you cannot be saved as a Jehovah's Witness. You cannot be saved, okay? And the second one is the benefits of those two things as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and this is part 1. Thank you very much, and I look forward to part 2. I got to do part 2 right away, okay? It's got to be within today or tomorrow. Thank you very much, and I hope you understand the scheme of the way I'm doing things here, because it's very intense. And thank you very much for hanging in there, and I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I wanted to show you this. I got this, and it's very important to me. And it's I don't know if you see this, but I was in I was in a store, and I wanted to learn some things about Jesus, and I also found out, which I'm going to put in the other ones, as far as there's people who, if you're in a different religion, I mean, I didn't used to believe, I thought that they actually believed in God, but it's not true. I mean, like, if it's another religion, and I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, they have their gods and we have our gods. Like, I don't believe now. I used to believe that the God, like the today's Jews, and I don't say anything bad about anything. It's just like I talk about negative things about black people, negative things about white people. I mean, negative things about American Jewish white people, and I had to put them in different categories because they're all in different categories. And I believe in Jesus, and I know now, and it's without any bad points or anything, is that the Jewish people don't believe in Jesus. And that would place them that they have a different God from the God that I worship. And I had to come to understanding on that, because I used to really believe that today's Jews, and which consists of white Jews mostly, were like saviors or something. But through my understanding of my YouTubes and the things that we faced, as far as how can I say, when I did this thing, when I was deprogramming myself as an ex-Jehovah's Witness in these 3 years that I've been working on these YouTubes, I had to deprogram myself when I got out of the Jehovah's Witness thing, okay? Because I just wanted to understand that, like, who is Jesus? I always study about him. And there was a time when I was Jehovah's Witness. The reason why I say this is because I believe that the ex-Jehovah's Witness, Jehovah's Witnesses are linked kind of to the same religion as the Jewish religion is. But I'm not saying anything bad about the people at all, okay? And there's some points that I'm going to put out as far as my third segment, which is being an ex-Jehovah Witness. Okay. And the reason why I can say this, because you can actually see me when I was debugging myself from from being a Jehovah Witness, is that you can actually see me saying that today's Jews, which consist of white Jewish men or white Jewish people, as being a savior or something to worship. I actually said that, and and when I debugged myself from being a Jehovah's Witness, I had to debug myself from the things that I learned in the world, that thing that exists in the world. And I'm going over that I don't know, I think it's going to be in the part 2 or part 3. So thank you very much. And I was afraid at first to say my feelings about certain things, because I know that the today's Jews, white Jews, and I have to say white because I talk about white people, and I know white people talk about white people, and black people talk about black people, okay? But I noticed that in the Jewish world, in the white Jewish world, today's white Jewish world, they don't talk about each other, which is not strong. Like Jehovah Witnesses talk about Jehovah Witnesses. I'm an ex-Jehovah Witnesses. Black people talk about black people. And it makes a balance. It makes it important, because I'm telling you that there are black prejudiced people. And then we have white people, and white people talk about white people. And white people, it's good because white people help black people, and black people help white people, and ex-Jehovah Witnesses help Jehovah Witnesses. But I noticed that in the Jewish today, white Jewish people today don't notice that they're actually white, and they don't talk about each other. I don't see it. It doesn't happen to where white Jewish people say we're white Jewish people. And every other one, they will say they're white Jewish people today. And they don't say we're white Jewish people today. But I'm saying I'm the black person of today. And white people will say that, regular white people would say we're white people of today. But I needed to understand this thing about Jewish people, because I was really affected by Whoopi Goldberg, something that happened in Whoopi Goldberg when she said when there was a book about today's Jewish, and she actually said, those white people, I don't want any white person would go, we talk about each other, and they allow us to talk about them. And like black people allow white people to talk about them. White people allow us to talk about them, But I noticed that she wasn't allowed to express herself and speak of white Jewish people today as white Jewish people. And she got in trouble for it. And then Kanye West, I wasn't really a friend of Kanye West, but I noticed that something happened with him, and everybody was on the comments saying, wait, there's something that he's trying to say, but he can't express himself. He expresses himself too artistically, and he's not schooled in how to express his feelings very well. And so I had to research that, and I noticed that that there was a problem there as far as Americans, as far as us as being Americans, and how there's another structure that we have to understand, which is very influential. And the white Jewish people really have an influence on of today have an influence on us. And I'm saying this because I got out, I was debugged myself from a Jehovah Witness standpoint, and it continued when I was cleared of the Jehovah Witness process of the things that happened. So it doesn't have anything to do with prejudice or whatever. And I'm going to stress that on the benefits of being an ex-Jehovah Witness. Okay, so this is part one. Thank you very much. I mean, okay, I wanted to say this other thing. The reason why I was afraid to say it because it was so, this point is so dominant in the fact that I thought was going to affect everything of my life, you know? But I can't be afraid to say it because it's just not the way. I'm thinking of music. That's not the way of life, you see. If you want to be happy with me. But anyway, that's not the way that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be equal with everything and understand each other. And that's what I want to do. And not just as an ex-Jehovah Witness, which I'm going to mention in part 3, is the fact that we have to not just help ex-Jehovah Witnesses, but once we're out and we're full ex-Jehovah Witnesses, we have to help the world, you know? Something that we haven't been doing as Jehovah Witnesses. Thank you very much. That's it for part 1.